Thought Bubble Audio.
Hi, and welcome to Academy Rewind, the fortnightly podcast that takes a look at the Oscars from years past. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man who one day wants to fly away. It's Palmer. How are you today?
Tired.
Tired?
Tired. I just woke up.
It's 1:12 in the afternoon.
I know. It's so early.
There's a 3 o'clock in the morning? What?
Well, that's the time I'm usually about to go to sleep.
I know, right. And then and then usually you wake up at 1, so you're getting 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. You're still getting 10 hours of sleep. Like,
well, I mean, I don't sleep straight through. Usually what happens is I wake up at like 6 or 7 and I'm up for like an hour and then I go back to sleep and then I'm up again at like 10 and I go back to sleep. Like, it's a lounging schedule is what it is. It really is.
You're so lucky. We are also lucky to talk about the 2002 Best Picture nominees for the Academy Awards. They are as follows. Moulin Rouge, In the Bedroom, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, Gosford Park, and A Beautiful Mind. Palmer, what won Best Picture?
A Beautiful Mind.
A Beautiful Mind won Best Picture. It sure did. So we will do that one last, but we're going to talk about what I think is Palmer's one of most famous loves of all time, and that is Moulin Rouge. Yes, you love this movie.
I thought you were going to say Lord of the Rings.
No,
I was going to angrily hang up Skype.
No, click that button. Yeah. No. We'll talk about Moulin Rouge. You love this film. I thought we'd start on a high note because it's a musical
and gradually go down from there.
No, I'm gonna mix. It's a mixed bag in here. Directed by Baz Luhrmann, written by Baz Luhrmann and Craig Pearce, starring Nicole Kidman, Ewan McGregor, John Leguizamo, Jim Broadbent, and Richard Roxburgh. Nominated for Best Picture, Best Actress for Kidman, Cinematography, Editing, Makeup, and Sound. It won Best Art Direction and Best Costumes. Story revolves around a man named Christian in a jukebox musical in which a poet, Christian, falls for a beautiful courtesan whom a jealous duke covets in 19th century Paris at the Moulin Rouge. I remember when this film came out and it was talk of the town. It was many people's obsessions for a long time, and I hadn't seen it in a while. We saw the before it went to Broadway. We saw it in Boston. We saw it on stage.
Yeah.
But I hadn't actually seen the movie for quite some time, and I forgot how fun it is. Because the show on stage took itself like it's a little like serious in a way that everything is so bombastic in the movie is designed that way. I didn't know. I don't know if this is in your fun facts or not, but I guess Baz Luhrmann designed it based on Bollywood. I don't know if you have ever come across
he
that.
did. I don't have that in my fun facts, but yeah, he did.
Yeah, I did. Like they were in India and they went to a movie and he was like, "Can I make a Western film like in the Bollywood style? Like I have no idea. I don't know let's say you don't know the language, but you can still follow along because the emotions are turned up to 11, and so you may not be able to. If you don't understand what they're saying, you at least know how they feel, and can the camera and the emotion, the music, can it tell the story without you knowing the language? And I thought that was a really interesting experiment. It made me appreciate Moulin Rouge a little bit. Like it made me appreciate it a little bit more because when I was watching it, I was like, it's like really. I mean, it's Baz Luhrmann, but I mean, it's like so you expect over the top, but it's like really over the top, even for him. And so knowing that made me appreciate what he was doing. I find some of it is very good. I think the best part of it is the music. I don't, I think the song selections, the cast are, obviously, professional. They know what they're doing. And it's good fun, though for some reason I had a hard time connecting with it in my 30s the way that I didn't 20 years ago.
Because you hate love.
No, that's not it.
You're sitting there going, "Oh, why didn't the dude win?"
No, he's terrible. He's a terrible, terrible person. But though he has a great song, I love his "Like a Virgin." It's so fun. Though, however creepy and awful it is, like in the context of like what they're talking
Right.
about and stuff. But Richard Roxburgh is great. He should be. He's an Australian treasure, but he should be an American one as well. But you tell me about your love of Moulin Rouge.
Well, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way first. How this movie was not nominated for Best Director is one of like the most egregious oversights in Academy history. And I'm not just saying that as a person who loves this movie. I'm saying it as a person who just heard you go over the list of things that this movie was nominated for. And then to say that all this happened without a director is insane, because this is a completely different movie in the hands of anybody else.
You know, I completely agree. I don't think it works. I don't think the zaniness works without Lerman, and especially knowing that his intention was to create a film so like large in scope emotionally that like he's the driving force of that. He's the one. He's got to get the sets, the costumes, the music, the actors all on board and pull that off, and he does. And so I agree. Like it's a strange absence from the list.
And this was the third in a series of movies that he did in similar like quick cut style, and kind of at times over the topness. That was Strictly Ballroom, and then there was Romeo and Juliet, and then there was this. And if you notice, like there is a gradual progression from even Romeo and Juliet to this. Like you get the quick cuts in Romeo and Juliet, you get the quick cuts even like dialed up to 10 here, and that was a thing that kind of turned some people off.
Yep. I think it works for what the movie is doing, though. Yeah, it was after a while. You're like, okay, I need to take a breath. Like like Nicole Kidman, I can't breathe. I need to take a step.
You have tuberculosis?
Yes, apparently I do.
You're right. The song selection is really good. I love the quick cuts because even if the movie's not doing it visually, you get the sense of it's going quick, it's happening. Like the movie never feels dull or boring, unlike you, Gosford Park. We'll get to you in a minute. But and that aside, like the cast, like everyone in this cast is great. Richard Roxburgh is great as the Duke. Jim Broadbent as Ziegler. John Leguizamo as Toulouse-Lautrec.
That's two Latrousses that we've had. Kind of in quick succession.
Back to back because it was the 40s.
Correct. Right. Wow. Yeah. It was sort of. Well, no, it was 2012 in between. So
no one remembers that.
Yeah. Of course. I think everyone's trying. I think Ewan McGregor does a great job at this. You know, the wide-eyed earnestness. I know that he won the part over Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger, and I would like.
That makes sense.
I would love to see those versions.
I would not love to see the Jake Gyllenhaal version.
No, I want to see the Heath Ledger one more. But I think
I would too, because we've seen Heath Ledger sing.
Correct. In oh my gosh, not How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. 10 Things I Hate About You. Right?
Yeah.
So, is that really him singing on the stage? It's been so long since I've seen that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think the whole film is great. It's beautiful. It works great. I can understand why it doesn't take home all of its nominations. Like Kidman gets nominated, she's wonderful and everything, but because everything is dialed up so high, there's not a lot of subtlety going on, and that's sometimes where the Academy looks for. It's like, you know, like how much can we see your character thinking and not saying, and there's not really room for that in Moulin Rouge.
No, but at the same time, because it's dialed up so much, there is a greater chance of coming off as hokey and cartoonish, and she never does. Like it takes just as much ability to rein in when you're going over the top than it does to be subtle.
No, I agree. I think she's the strongest. Member of the cast here, and she has the most range. Even if everybody really is dialed up really high, and there's, you know, certainly menace to the Duke and Ziegler to an extent, but they all play in the world that's created for them. And Nicole Kidman sits a little, like you said, she sits a little bit outside of it because of her range. So, but I can understand like where it won and where it didn't. But I agree with you about the direction. Like it takes a lot to pull this together, and it's a weird oversight.
It really is.
Give me some fun facts on Moulin Rouge.
Come Up May was written by David Bearwald for Romeo and Juliet, but not used. In Moulin Rouge, it is newly written for the stage show by Christian. It is the only completely original song in the entire film. However, because it was written for another film, it was disqualified for the Oscars Best Song Award.
I mean, that happens.
Dumb.
I know. It happens quite frequently. I mean, remember that happened with The Godfather. The Godfather's main theme was written for another film, so that didn't get...
Yeah, but wasn't it used in another film?
It was...
the problem was like pieces of it were used already.
Yeah, it was never
This
used.
is right, and that's the thing. It's like, well, how do you know it was for another song? Like, how do you know it was for another movie? It's not like there's lyrics in there that say, Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes.
Right. It must have had to have been like it has to, like, there has to be some kind of criteria, or it had to have passed through some kind of motion. It's not like it was just sitting on somebody's piano in their house where they're like, oh yeah, I wrote this a couple years ago, I'll just throw this in here. Maybe because it was already so closely attached to another picture that just didn't get made, like, or didn't get put into the film. It counts. But yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because I wanted to mention it myself.
Yeah.
Please continue with your facts.
In the Like a Virgin number, Jim Broadbent's voice is dubbed by opera singer Anthony Way, mimicking Broadbent's own vocal performance. The floor was rubbed with Coca-Cola so the dancers wouldn't slip. This segment, Richard Roxborough's favorite experience from the production, took a week to film.
That's great. And that floor must have been so sticky. That's
yeah.
gross. But it looks cool. It's nice.
And full of ants, because that's how you get ants.
That's how you get ants. Do you want ants? Because that's how you get ants.
Before realizing that they had to narrow the scope to just the Moulin Rouge, Baz Luhrmann and Craig Pearce wrote scenes exploring the more of Paris's Montmartre neighborhood. Exercise from the final draft was a scene in which Christine and Satine and Toulouse-Lautrec go to the estate of the German aristocrat Count von Groovy and participate in an absinthe and opium-fueled orgy with Isadora Duncan, Sarah Bernhardt, and Oscar Wilde. Count von Groovy is the nickname that Luhrmann acquired while directing La Boheme at the Sydney Opera House in 1990.
Well, okay, that's a lot to take in, and I'm kind of glad that it didn't go in that direction. Although it was real fun to have Oscar Wilde in this movie.
Yeah.
No, well, yeah.
This seems like a scene that they need to add into the Broadway show.
Yes, that's what was missing from the Broadway show. Yes, of course. All right, well, fun with Moulin Rouge. Let's go to something completely opposite. In the Bedroom, directed by Todd Field. In the Bedroom, written by Todd Field, Robert Festinger, based on the story Killings by Andre Dubus.
Dubus is on fire.
Starring Tom Wilkinson, Sissy Spacek, Nick Stahl, Marissa Tomei, and William Mapother? Is that how you say his name? Do you know? Mapother? Yeah, okay. Nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor for Wilkinson, Best Actress for Spacek, Supporting Actress for Tomei, and Adapted Screenplay. This movie won no awards. Nothing whatsoever. Why are you even here? Just kidding.
I ask myself that question a lot.
Anyway, this story is about a New England couple's college-age son who dates an older woman who has two small children and an unwelcome ex-husband. How much of a lie is that plot right there? We're gonna spoil. We're gonna spoil in the bedroom here.
Correct.
It is correct. It's the first 40 minutes of the movie. Is that maybe 45?
Not even.
Not even. Right. So like, and I appreciate I appreciate them not spoiling anything within the plot synopsis right there. But we're gonna spoil it here now because the movie is really about that as the setup. But Marissa Tomei's ex-husband kills Nick Stahl, the boyfriend, and it's really about Wilkinson and Spacek kind of dealing with their loss and bereavement over their son who was shot and killed. And that's like, and I wasn't expecting it. I was like, okay, here's this family drama and this whatever else, and all of a sudden there's like, he's dead, and I was like, oh no, Nick Stahl.
No, John Connor.
Actually,
the future is doomed.
My first thought was actually, oh no, Sin City. Yeah, I thought it almost hits and doesn't quite get there, and so and I say that I'll tell you. I mean, Palmer knows obviously, and I can't remember if I ever talked on the podcast before, but like my brother was murdered. He was shot and like murdered. So like, and so like having like watched my parents go through like this a very similar bereavement process, and I'm like kind of watching these performances, and I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, this just doesn't feel like you're going hard enough. Like some of it really works. Is like this scene where Spacek is watching TV and Wilkinson kind of like comes in and is really quiet and this, and they kind of float through the house like ghost kind of thing, and all of that kind of works. And I found some of Wilkinson's drive kind of like towards the end of the film that really played well for me, but none of it just seemed to go hard enough. It just didn't ring true for me, and that's maybe personal, maybe because that's personal experience. So like, how did it work for you?
I could definitely see that, and I would, just because you have personal experience and it doesn't match up to what yours was, I could see where that disconnection is. For me, I also feel like it doesn't hit. And I will say that I liked the stuff up to the shooting, and I liked the stuff after they start addressing it.
Yes.
It's the middle part where they kind of, and it's fine. Like, I understand, like, they're both grieving in their own way, and they're becoming distant with each other. Like, I get the point of the movie, and I get what the movie's trying to do and trying to get you to see, but it just feels like it's being done too subtly and almost like at an iceberg pace until it just finally blows up.
Yep.
And that's when the movie gets good again. Like, once the movie starts addressing it and not just lets these characters kind of simmer on their own without any real like nudge in any direction.
Yep. No, I'm with you, and that's like some of the simmering that you're speaking of is like that's some of the stuff that just it felt true and wasn't all at the same time, and I think all of it, everyone did a good job. I found Wilkinson to be particularly like hard hitting at times. Like, some of it really worked for me. He was consistent within his character. But it just didn't. It's like a 3.5 out of 4. Like, it's so close to being there, and it just like isn't there for me. That's not a 5, to be clear. It's like a C+.
Yeah, I kind of fully agree. Because that movie is this movie does really good, and Tom Wilkinson does a really good job in it. And like I was telling you when I saw it, like I think Spacek and Wilkinson are playing their roles fine. The movie is just not giving them enough to do during that middle part, and that's where the movie ultimately fails, is in that middle part.
And it probably doesn't help that I watched this back to back with Moulin Rouge, and so you have a movie that's like everything's big, spectacular, big, and then you like turn on In the Bedroom, which barely takes place in a bedroom at all, by the way.
Yeah, almost nothing in a bedroom.
No, I did get the title I had to like think about it after a while. I'm like, okay, so like by the end of the movie, the end scene of the movie is in the bedroom, where they like have not resolved, like Spacek and Wilkinson haven't really resolved, but they've like, this is where they're at now because of what the events of the movie, and they make this silent agreement or whatever in the bedroom, and that's kind of like, that's it. That's the end of that's where it comes from.
Also, I'm more interested in knowing the aftermath of this movie.
Also that, yes, I would also like to know that. I'm like, so you're just not gonna give me the like cool, like you just
Like, did they buy the story? Does everybody buy the story? Does something happen? These are the more interesting questions that I want to know. Like, you could have cut out that middle third, narrowed it down to like 6-7 minutes in a montage or something, and given me like 10 minutes more on the end.
Yeah, I think they were going for like what amounts to like a realistic revenge story. Like, what would this really look like? Because we've seen movies like with this where like the parents of or whatever avenge their child, or blah blah blah, and there's always like big shootouts and this and all whatever else, and this is like, how might this really go? But
I agree,
but I would like to know how the rest of it would also go.
Yeah, because that would be part of the realism. Like, and that, like, once that starts kicking off in the movie, like, the movie gets good again. It's that, like I said, if you rework that middle part, I think this movie movie does a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any fun facts, or at least just regular facts about this movie?
Are there facts at all? During the first poker party that Matt attends, one of the characters quotes a poem by William Blake. One of Blake's most well-known poems is A Poison Tree, in which the poem's narrator describes his feelings of anger and hatred towards someone that has wronged him, and eventually drives him to murder his enemy beneath a tree. This mirrors Matt's actions against Richard at the end of the film. The title refers to the rear compartment of a lobster trap known as the bedroom, and the fact that it can only hold up to two lobsters before they begin to turn on each other.
Okay.
A scene cut from the final version shows Ruth and Matt watching the film Barry Lyndon at the Strand Theater in Rockland, Maine on the night of their wedding anniversary. Ruth tells her son Frank, it was the first film your father and I ever saw together. This was intended by director Todd Field as an homage to Stanley Kubrick, whom Field had worked with on Eyes Wide Shut.
See, the problem with their marriage from the start is that they were watching Barry Lyndon, and
Yeah.
that's where it all goes downhill. All right, The Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring, directed by Peter Jackson, written by Peter Jackson, Philippa Boyens, Fran Walsh, based on the novel by J.R.R. Tolkien, starring Elijah Wood, Ian McKellen, Orlando Bloom, Sean Bean, Sean Astin, Kate Blanchett, Billy Boyd, Ian Holm, Christopher Lee, Dominic Monaghan, Viggo Mortensen, John Rhys Davies, Liv Tyler, and Hugo Weaving. Nominated for Best Picture, Supporting Actor for McKellen, Director, Adapted Screenplay, Art Direction, Costumes, Editing, Original Song, and Sound. This movie won Best Cinematography, Best Makeup, Best Music, and Best Special Effects. Story revolves around a meek hobbit from the Shire and the 8 companions set out on a journey to destroy the powerful One Ring and save Middle-earth from the Dark Lord Sauron, Part 1 of 3, to which we have already covered the other 2. My feelings on The Lord of the Rings are well known across this podcast and across the internet. It is a masterpiece, changed cinema forever. It really can't understate how important it is that a large scope fantasy film won Best Picture and won many other important awards on top of that. I actually had forgotten that it had won more awards than just from Return of the King, because it won in total it won 17 Academy Awards, 11 of them for Return of the King. They kind of like wrapped up everything. So I was surprised to see that it won cinematography, makeup, music, and effects, just because I had kind of assumed that the Academy was like, oh, there's 3 of them, we'll just hang on till the end. But so that shocked me a bit. This one is my favorite of the 3. I just like the beginning. I just like the beginning of the story the most for some reason. I think that McKellen is strongest here, also out of the 3. I think his supporting actor nod is a good choice. Kind of reminds me of Alec Guinness getting nominated for Star Wars in '77. Here's the stage. Here's the respected stage actor coming in and sweet and getting some sweet nods. So yeah, it's a classic. I mean, the cinematography award, kind of like it's a lot of good camera work. It's doing a lot of stuff that you haven't seen on film in 2001. Like now we kind of look at it and say like, yeah, that's a nice shot. That's very good. That's a nice transition, stuff like that. But there's a lot of sweeping camera movements, like on the bigatures and all that stuff that this was the first film to really do stuff like that. And I think sometimes, like, especially the further back you go, like we forget the influences that some movies had, stuff like the massive software for like individual AI combat, in the opening scenes and with the goblins and stuff, like all that's brand new to film, changed cinema, the way that Star Wars did and Jurassic Park did, that Avatar did. These movies changed the way that we watch movies. And so I just always think that part of film history is very cool. Out of these 3, which one do you hate the most and why?
This one, absolutely. Like, it is like, I wouldn't even say it's like watching paint dry. It's like watching dry paint dry. Like, Like there's
That's funny. I'm gonna remember that one for later.
There's moving at a snail's pace, and then moving so slowly that you're not actually moving, and the earth is just passing by you.
What moves faster?
And that's what
this Gosford Park or In the Bedroom?
Oh, In the Bedroom easily. Out of those three, In the Bedroom moves the fastest. Gosford Park at least gives the illusion with people talking with moving fast, and this just feels like I'm going backwards. Like I'm standing stationary and the Earth is just moving in its orbit, and eventually I will be out in space because the Earth will have passed me by and I'll be dead. And it'll be because of this movie.
Now, how much of this, did you feel like, because some of your hatred towards things is like a small amount of trolling, like, oh, Tim likes this, so I'm just going to beef up how much I don't like this. So I'm curious, like if I was completely ambivalent to
I've never liked these movies.
Yeah, okay, that's kind of where I've fallen.
When I saw all three at midnight.
Well, that's
back
your
when
problem.
midnight movies were a thing.
I could 3-hour movies.
Oh no, I could easily do it. Like I did it all the time back in the day. But these, like clockwork, I would fall asleep because there was just nothing going on.
I don't think there's nothing going on. I think there's a lot going on. You're just not interested in what's going on.
4 short people, one who's annoying, and you have a wizard who can't even wizard correctly. I would say
by your own pre-established rules, sure. Also, which Hobbit's the most annoying to you?
Sam.
What?
Sam.
What?
Easily.
What? No. Sam's
he says everything in a whiny voice. Oh, that's what he does the entire movie.
Okay. No. Sam's like the hero of the Stim's one of the heroes of the story.
It goes, Sam is the most annoying, then Frodo, then the one I don't remember his name.
It's definitely Merry.
And then the singing one.
That's Pippin. Yeah. I knew you'd like Pippin the most, though. Everyone loves
because
Pippin.
He sings. That's the only reason. Like he has the best part in all 3 movies when he sings in the last one, and that is the only reason why he beats out any of them.
You're crazy.
Viggo Mortensen and Liv Tyler are like the best parts of these movies. They're not in it enough, and Mortensen should have easily been nominated over Ian McKellen.
I don't agree that he should have been nominated over McKellen, but I do agree that he probably should have been nominated somewhere within here because there's a lot of, we talked about earlier, like subtle acting, like how much you can see your character think, and he does that really well across this franchise. He came in really late into the production. Stuart Townsend was originally,
they had already started.
He was originally cast, and they decided he was a little too young looking, wasn't rugged enough, and so they got Mortensen, who like basically hopped on a plane, did it because his son was a fan of the books and was like, Dad, you gotta like go and be in this movie, and that's how you get him.
And then after finishing these movies, he put that son up for adoption.
That's right. No, I do not believe so. I know you don't like them, so I won't bore you, but there's a lot to love in here.
Well, I mean, the movies already did that.
Okay, well, then I'll go on. Howard Shore's score is masterful, and here's my thesis why. 40 pages. Get ready. So,
I mean, I will say if I had to pick something that I liked out of these movies, or this movie in particular, it is the music. I liked the overall soundtrack. I liked Enya's song at the end of this one.
It's the best out of the...
No, I think Into the West.
I was going to say Annie Lennox's is the best, but this one comes close.
Annie Lennox's is the best. I would say I liked all 3 songs in all 3 movies, and even though I really like Let It Be, it is probably my least favorite. I like Into the West, and then I like Gollum's song more.
No, May It Be. I think you're confusing this with the Beatles song.
Yeah. Either way. The Beatles are another overrated thing.
Why? Why do you hate things that like are important to culture? Why is this? Like it just hurts me deep. No, going back to the music. I mean, Shore was a fan of the books before being involved in the movie as well. So a lot of the parts of the chorus when they're singing in Elvish or in other languages, and they're using text from from the book. So it's all like everything is kind of insulated within the world. So even if you're just watching passively, you can enjoy it if you're not Palmer. But the further you dive into how much detail they put into the film, it gets even more rich. And I think that's an accomplishment in and of itself. Like how much can you put in a film to pay service to the original source material without like overstaying your welcome or being too obvious about it, like turning to the camera and be like, we truly are, the Fellowship of the Ring, which they do, but you gotta say that.
Wow, that was, you really backed yourself into it.
Yeah, well, you gotta say the title of the movie in all of them. They say they do it in all three. It was very of its time. There are some things that are like very 90s, early 2000s in it, like the way, like slow-mo cam all of a sudden, like that kind of like sweeping slow-mo, you know what I'm talking about? Like that was very popular in its day. But anyway, give me some fun facts on Lord of the Rings, because I'll be here all day if you don't stop me.
The cast often had to fly to remote shoot locations by helicopter. Sean Bean was afraid of flying and would only do it when absolutely necessary. When they were shooting the scenes of the Fellowship crossing the snowy mountains, he'd spend 2 hours every morning climbing up from the base of the mountain to the set near the top, already dressed as Boromir. The crew being flown up could see him from their helicopters.
No, I think he did try to fly once, like early, and it just didn't work out. Like he was like, no, I'm not doing this ever again. So he got up at like 4 a.m, put on his costume, and hiked up the mountain, which is crazy.
And that's why they killed him.
Yeah, no, if anything, that's why you keep him around longer. Like, that guy's committed.
Viggo Mortensen did his own stunts. He also insisted on using only the real steel sword instead of a significantly lighter aluminum sword or a safer rubber sword, which were manufactured for battle scenes and stunts.
Yep. He actually then the final battle when the Uruk-hai throws the dagger at him, Viggo actually deflects that. Like he's like, no, just throw the dagger at me. It's fine. I won't die. Don't worry about it. And the Sandman's like, okay.
It's like the scene in Robin Hood Men in Tights. I want you to fire an arrow directly at my eye.
Straight at my heart. Are you serious? Absolutely.
No, eye.
Is it eye? No, I thought it was heart. But hey, either way.
All right. Goodbye.
Nice knowing you. I just watched that last week, actually.
Yeah. Sir Christopher Lee played a similar role in the Star Wars prequels, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And in those movies, Count Dooku is a former Jedi who has turned to the dark side and became apprentice of Darth Sidious.
That's true. I was kind of wondering where they were going with a similar part, and I was like, how? But I guess a former ally that turns to down a dark path is true.
Yeah.
Christopher Lee was also a huge fan of these books. He read it once a year for like 40 years or something, like since they were published.
I'm pretty sure that you had to like it if you were British.
I mean, it's possible.
Like it's a law.
It's a law. It's just like written down at the bottom. Like, just like, by the way, I love Lord of the Rings. No, he read it every year, and he actually met Tolkien, who told him that if they ever made live action Lord of the Rings, then Christopher Lee was his pick for Gandalf. Yeah,
Frodo.
For Frodo, he was his pick for Gandalf. And when Christopher Lee met Ian McKellen, like he was like, Tolkien told me he wanted me to play Gandalf, and then he just walked away. It's like, hello to you too, Sir Lee. Hello to you too. There's also a scene, I think it was in the third one, where Christopher Lee was like, it's his death scene from the third one that's only in the extended edition, but he's like, Peter Jackson was like, so just imagine like the sound and feeling of someone stabbing like somebody in the back. And Christopher Lee was like, I don't have to imagine. And again, just walked away, because he was part of Churchill's Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, like his like secret, like super secret elite like spies during World War II.
I thought he was referencing Peter Jackson not casting him as
he was like literally,
he
was literally like, no, I know exactly what it feels like to get stabbed in the back and what that sounds like. Thanks. What a man, Christopher Lee, so great. But yeah, that's Lord of the Rings. Let's go on to your favorite film of all time, Gosford Park, directed by Robert Altman, written by Julian Fellows, based on the idea by Robert Altman and Bob Bebelman. Balaban. There it is, Balaban.
Baklava.
Starring Maggie Smith, Ryan Phillippe. It's always Phillippe, right?
Phillippe.
Yeah, Phillippe. Michael Gambon, Christian Scott Thomas, Charles Dance, Tom Hollander, Jeremy Northam, Bob Balaban, Stephen Fry, Clive Owen, Emily Watson, Derek Jacobi, and Helen Mirren. Nominated for Best Picture, Supporting Actress for Mirren, Supporting Actress for Smith, Director, Art Direction, and Costumes. This movie won Original Screenplay. Set in the 1930s, this movie brings a group of pretentious, rich, and famous together for a weekend of relaxation at a hunting resort. But when a murder occurs, each one of these interesting characters becomes a subject. How good does that sound? And how not good is this movie?
Interesting is not the word I would choose for these characters.
Yeah, so this is I was very much looking forward to watching this because I'm a huge Downton Abbey fan. I love Downton Abbey. My wife and I both do. And I was like, Julian Fellows, this is like what started Downton Abbey, because Downton Abbey was originally supposed to be a spin-off of Gosford Park. And so I was like all down to watch this. I was so excited. I was like, it's going to be Downton Abbey, but a murder mystery. But no, it's actually like the worst people in the universe. It's like Downton Abbey without any of the happiness or any of the joy.
Without any of the Marys.
Or any Marys or anything. It's just like, or Carsons or nothing. It's just like everyone's miserable. Everyone hates everyone. And everyone should die. That's the tone of Gosford Park. And I think that it's just so overstuffed with characters that you're just like, who are you? Why are you a thing? Who are you connected to?
Yes. Like, it has so many characters that might be good, that might be interesting, but you don't get to spend enough time with any of them to learn anything.
Yep. So you end up having zero emotional connection to everyone.
This is why something like Downton Abbey is better, because you get to spend time. So the fact that this kind of breeds Downton Abbey, and I would say Downton Abbey, although we could say there's a murder mystery in the first season, aside from that, Downton Abbey is Gosford Park 2.0, because they were able to fix all the problems from this in Downton Abbey.
Correct.
All the characters have time to breathe and become their own people. You get to learn why you should dislike them or why you should like them.
And I think part of that's format, right? You're talking television versus a 2-hour film.
Yeah, no, movie was not a good vehicle for this kind of story.
No, it's too stuffed because you're playing with upstairs, downstairs. And so there's the entire cast of the downstairs and the upstairs, plus all the visiting people and their downstairs people and their upstairs people. And it was just too much. And I'm lucky that I knew a lot of the cast, because I ended up just like, oh, good, Helen Mirren's talking. Oh, good, Clive Owen's talking. Oh, there's Derek Jacobi. And that was really the only way that I could function in this movie.
Yeah, no, because you're right, because it's hard to remember names and faces because you're not given enough to go with. And I was really surprised that it ended up being Harry Potter that killed Michael Gambon.
Right?
He was like, this is for all the stuff you're going to make me go through in Harry Potter.
The cast is great. I mean, they're obviously, they're well trained. Even people who have Derek Jacobi, amazing Shakespearean actor in tons of stuff, and he's just like, I've got my 3 lines, all right. But I have to watch Ryan Phillippe over and over and over again. And when he came out with his Scottish accent, I was like, what is happening? This is nonsense. Yeah. So at least that is at least we knew that that ended up being fake, because I just saw through that right away.
Yes, we all knew Ryan Phillippe was not Scottish.
Nope, no, he sure wasn't. Actually, the casting of Ryan Phillippe, who's a fine actor, he's not terrible or anything. I just but it felt like stunt casting, where it was here's this amazing cast and Ryan Phillippe.
Come on, young kids, come to see this dry British movie.
Kind That's kinda what it is. And yeah, I've so rarely been like so let down by a film because I thought it had so much going for it. Premise was great, cast was great. The screenwriter was awesome. Like it looked beautiful. And then and then Robert Altman just came in and did whatever he does, and I just was not a fan.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. It was definitely a letdown for sure.
Yep. Yeah. Wasn't a fan. But give me some facts.
By her own admission, Dame Kristen Scott Thomas was famously difficult on set while working on this movie. In an interview with a British newspaper in 2005, she said that when I did Gosford Park with Robert Altman, apparently I was a complete nightmare. I was very imperious and completely foul and horrible, and I had no idea I was doing it at all. Actually, that's not entirely true. I did wonder why people were giving me sideways looks, and there would be this odd hush whenever I walked into a room. The only explanation I could come up with was that I was half in character the whole time. I was playing this woman who was difficult, and so I became difficult, but I did apologize to everyone afterward.
That seems like I didn't realize that I was being obnoxious. Like, all right, okay.
There is no animal rights tag in the closing credits of this movie. The shooting scene was filmed with real birds, and they were shot.
Well, it is a sport, so it's fine, but that's at least they were going for authenticity.
There was a real movie called Charlie Chan in London, and it was a mystery set in an English manor house. While it featured Alan Mulberry and Ray Millman, it was produced by John Stone, not Morris Weissman, a fictional character.
Okay, all right. Well, that was fun. It was a fun fact to end that trivia of facts. Thank you.
You're welcome.
A Beautiful Mind, directed by Ron Howard, written by Akiva Goldsman, based on the non-fiction book by Sylvia Nassar, starring Russell Crowe, Jennifer Connelly, Ed Harris, Paul Bettany, Christopher Plummer, Adam Goldberg, Josh Lucas, Anthony Rapp, and Judd Hirsch. Nominated for actor for Crowe, editing, makeup, and music, this movie won Best Picture, supporting actress for Connelly, director, and adapted screenplay. The story revolves around John Nash, a brilliant but asocial mathematician who accepts secret work in cryptology from the U.S. government, and his life takes a turn for the nightmarish. It's based on true story. John Nash was a real person. I actually read the book that it's based on. I don't know why, because it was interesting. I hadn't seen this film in a very long time. I remember loving it when I saw it. Watching it again, it doesn't hit as hard as it, unless, once you know, no spoilers for A Beautiful Mind, once you know that it's all in his head, it's not as it's not as interesting. Mm-hmm. It's just it loses all of its panache. And so then it's just a movie. It's well acted. I always enjoy Russell Crowe playing an early 20s something, even though he's clearly not, moving all the way up through his whole life. Classic Oscar winning style, play 60 years in a 2-hour movie. Go. We'll give you bangs for when you're young and not bangs for when you're older. So it's all good. Cast is good. Everybody's good. Music good. Everything's just good. But I wasn't taken with it the way that I was the last I saw it.
And I think the reason for that is this isn't just a movie. This is for more, it's kind of a joke, but it's like the based on a true story moniker. The fact that this interesting stuff happened to a real life person makes it 10 times more interesting than just being a fictional character. Mm-hmm. And then when you find out that it's just schizophrenia and none of the stuff he thought was happening, mm-hmm. It does take a lot away, because other than that, they don't really do a good job of giving us a reason why this person is significant.
No, it's true. They don't. It really focuses in on the cryptology stuff that ends up not being real. And so why should you care about, besides him being a person, what is John Nash to the field of mathematics?
Right.
I mean,
and they everything around him keeps talking about all the stuff he's done and you never see any of that, because this movie at time is just too focused on the stuff that's in his head.
Correct. And that's where on repeat viewings it kind of loses its charm. But I think that it's a very good vehicle for Jennifer Connelly to do a lot of like really strong supportive acting on her end, because she's always in the real world, right? And so, you know, we said a couple times on the podcast, like you can see her thinking, like, you know, like where is she at different stages in her life, and that I found very good. But it's usually listed as one of Ron Howard's best. Yeah, and I don't think that's I just don't think that's true. I think it's very well made, and I think that Howard, I get why he's nominated and wins Best Director, because he does trick the audience really well when you don't know that it's all in his head. Like that occurs.
I don't know if that's
organically. Well, I mean, he has to decide, you know, or at least approve, like, this is how we're going to shoot. This is how we're going to shoot this, and this, and this. Like how, like, the script weaves in people and where they are and who sees them and how they interact with them and not, and stuff like that. Like, that is really tricky, to make it seem like his roommate and the guy from the FBI or whatever, like all of that, or the CIA or whatever, like that they're all real. But it just doesn't hit as well. And I think you're right, because like it doesn't give you a reason apart from him like conquering his schizophrenia without medication, you know, and like him like being able to discern what's real and what's not at different, like by the end of his life. I don't know why he's in, like, his personal stuff is important, but I don't know why he's important to other part, like to his field, or you know, because I'm sure there are other people in the world that don't get books written about them or movies made about them that have, you know, might have similar stories, and I just don't know what makes him tick even further. But
and that's the problem with the movie, because he is an important person in mathematics.
Yeah, Fields Medal winner, I'm sure. You know,
I don't think he did win it. Oh, because I think they mention about him not winning it.
Okay, so I don't know,
but he is very important in mathematics, but this movie never does a good job telling you why. I will say that if you take away it's based on a true person from the movie, and this is just a movie about a person who has schizophrenia who, you know, thinks all this is happening, the movie's good and it's interesting and it's fine. But I still think it would not do as good on repeat viewing, because it really depends on you believing all of this is happening.
Correct. And I don't think that the part of me says that, like, a movie doesn't have to be good on repeat viewings to be worthy of Best Picture, you know, because the whole movie kind of hinges upon the twist, like there's not a lot going for it outside of that. Like that's where it kind of falls apart, because some movies have a good twist, but the rest of it is still so good around it that the twist is just a good part of the rest of the film.
It's the Usual Suspects problem. Yeah. Once you know the ending of a movie
I've never seen and I don't know the ending, don't spoil it for me. I'm trying to see how long I can go.
Well then.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you know that the Usual Suspects, that it didn't actually happen, and it's all in the guy's head because he has schizophrenia.
Sure. Okay. Or it's like Fight Club. There's another a fine example. You know, like once you know what's up, the rest of it's still good. It just doesn't measure up. It just doesn't measure up to what the twist is the most important and best part, and not
right. It's essentially every Shyamalan movie ever made.
Yes and no. See, so that's actually a great way, because like Signs, I think is a great example of the twist being important, but the rest of the movie is also great, even though you know the resolution. But like The Sixth Sense is a movie that hinges completely upon whether you know what's happening or not.
I would say that Signs is the less twisty of his twists.
Maybe that's why I think the rest
because
of it works.
The aliens are actually real, and the only twist is really just like his dying wife suddenly became a prophet.
Sure, yeah, exactly. Or that she just like how everything can converge in one singular moment, right? And like that's not really a twist. It's just more like it's just actually good writing. So, yeah. Give me some fun facts on A Beautiful Mind.
Okay, I can do that. John and Alicia Nash were killed in a car accident accident on May 23rd, 2015, when the driver of a taxi they were riding in lost control of the car and collided with a guardrail and a second car on the New Jersey Turnpike. The New York Times said that although the two drivers suffered only minor injuries, the Nashes were ejected from the cab and pronounced dead at the scene. John was 86, Alicia was 82.
Jeez, I said fun facts, Palmer. Fun facts, not devastating, and now I have to go curl up in a ball facts. Although that was really interesting, though. I did not know that. It's so sad.
The scene towards the end of the film where John Nash contemplates drinking tea is based on a true event when Russell Crowe met the real John Nash. He spent 15 minutes contemplating whether to drink tea or coffee.
I get that, though. I understand that. I understand that dilemma.
While this film is inspired by the life of John Nash, there were elements from his life that were deliberately omitted. He was married twice, both to the same woman. In the past, he had several affairs with both men and women. He was arrested by the police by scandal. He fathered a child out of wedlock in his 20s. He believed that through his mental illness, the extraterrestrial spoke to him, giving him advanced knowledge by means of cosmic connection with them. He tried to renounce his American nationality. Sometimes in the belief that the U.S. government pursued him, and he made numerous anti-Semitic comments during his period of extreme illness, most of which equated Jews with world communism.
See, that sounds like a better movie.
Better story, yeah. Because that, to me, is more of this person dealing with this illness.
Correct, yeah. Not to, belittle the illness itself or anything, but, that.
Right.
That just is a little bit more interesting than, my college roommate wasn't real. That's bad. That's okay. You know what? What are you going to do? Live and watch another movie. Let's talk about where you can find us at twitter.com and Gmail if you really feel up to emailing and nobody answering at Academy Rewind. And myself at TimothyPG13, AcademyRewind.com, Patreon.com/ThoughtBubbleAudio to support all of our audio shows, and ThoughtBubbleAudio.com to check out all other places that all of our podcasts can be found, including but not limited to iTunes and Spotify and Overcast and all of these different things. Plus, you can also rate and review us on iTunes, because those reviews from iTunes get spread out and go into all of those other podcasts.
Internet.
Yes, they get So they other podcasts use the iTunes reviews to kind of for their algorithms. So review us on iTunes so we show up in other places. That'd be fabulous. Let's do the 2002 Rewindies. Let's do them.
Woo!
All categories. If this is your first time listening, all categories from supporting actor all the way to best picture can only come from the 5 movies nominated. Don't forget, I added best director into the lineup, as I tend to add a new category every season. So I'm running out, though. I'm gonna I guess we're gonna do original song next. Oh no. Even if there isn't one. So but anyway, let's start with supporting actor. I'm going to give to Ian McKellen for The Lord of the Rings.
I am shaking my head in disgust at you.
I know. Yeah, go ahead. Where else is there? Yeah, go ahead.
Richard Roxburgh, Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, that's fine. You know what? I accept that because he's so good. I think about him going, generally I like it. Like pretty much all the time. And I wish I've tried to find a gif of it in the past and it's really hard to get, but I just think it's just wonderful when somebody says something to you and generally I like it.
And in the end, should someone die?
So exciting. Supporting actress, I give to Jennifer Connelly for Beautiful Mind.
I would give it to, Jennifer Connelly, Beautiful Mind.
Okay. Production design, I give to Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
I give to Moulin Rouge.
Okay. Costume design, I give to Moulin Rouge.
I also give to Moulin Rouge.
Makeup and hairstyling to The Fellowship of the Ring.
I give it to Gosford Park.
Okay. Music, I give to The Fellowship of the Ring.
Moulin Rouge, for its use of
the completely original song, Come What May.
No, for its use of already presented material in such new and fantastic ways.
That's good. I know. I try to avoid the already presented presented
No, you don't,
music.
Because you've given it to that, and so there.
Yeah, go ahead. Fine, prove that.
No, you have.
I know I have. I still remember where. I know.
It was not that long ago, because I made the case for the one that I picked for it being original,
I know.
and you were like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't Was it Yankee Doodle Dandy?
Probably.
I think it was Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Yeah. You were like, I'm going to give it to Yankee Doodle Dandy. And I'm like, it was not original at all.
I know.
But that was just taking the songs. And, like, this actually did something with the...
It's true. Their version of Roxanne, Moulin Rouge's version of Roxanne is my favorite version of Roxanne.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It's superior. It's so good. Visual effects I give to Lord of the Rings.
Gosford Park.
There's nothing happening in there. There's no visual effects in that movie.
People shooting guns.
They were real, you said. They're not even visual effects. They're literally just shooting a gun. And the birds are actually falling out of the sky because they're real. That's not a visual effect.
The dead body of Michael Gambon.
No, that's just Michael Gambon. It's not even fake. He's just
wow.
Michael,
that's just mean.
Hold your stomach in. Okay, great. Yeah. No.
Fine. Moulin Rouge.
Fine. I accept that. I accept that more. Just because, there were no big special effects. Anyway.
Beautiful Mind, because those people didn't really exist.
No, they sure didn't. Cinematography, I also give to Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
I also give it to Moulin Rouge, The Fellowship of Moulin Rouge.
Excellent. Editing, I give to Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, Moulin.
Great. Sound, I give to The Fellowship of the Ring.
Sound, I would give to Gosford Park.
Okay. A lot of background clicks and clacks inside the kitchen, right? Yeah. Best actor, I'm going. See, here's the thing. I have Tom Wilkinson for In the Bedroom, but I don't like that choice.
Then why did you pick it?
Because I liked it when I chose it, and I'm looking at it now, and also after a conversation, I'm like, I don't really like it. But also, it's the one that, I guess Russell Crowe, I guess?
No, it's Russell Crowe.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'll give it to Russell Crowe. What a guy.
Yeah.
Good old Russ. Best actress to Nicole Kidman for Moulin Rouge.
Nicole Kidman is the only correct answer.
Okay. Best writing, I give to Gosford Park because the story, because the story's actually good, and the character and what the characters say and do and act is all good. The direction is not good, but what the story actually is and how it resolves and that was quality. I actually enjoyed that, but I just didn't like the movie that they made with it.
Yeah, Beautiful Mind.
Yeah, that was my other choice, but I go back to I had them two written out, and I was just going to choose based on our conversation, but because the movie's around the twist, and plus with the fun fact knowing all the stuff about John Nash that they left out, I'm like, no, it's not that anymore. Get out of here. A Beautiful Mind. Director Baz Luhrmann from Moulin Rouge.
Baz Luhrmann from Moulin Rouge.
Yep, completely underrepresented Baz Luhrmann. Best picture I give to Gosford Park.
Moulin Rouge.
No, just kidding. No. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. I tried really hard not to go Fellowship of the Ring. No, I really did. I was like, it's going to be in my mind, I was like, it's either Moulin Rouge or Beautiful Mind because I think those are best. And I really, in my brain, remember I said, I'm going to not, for these 3 seasons, I was not just going to give everything to Lord of the Rings.
Like I predicted.
It turns out that was the best choice for this year. I didn't do that for Two Towers. I did not do that for the Two Towers. It was the best. I
called you a liar then, and I've been proven right.
Well, too bad. Well, here, get a load of these lies. Up next on Academy Rewind, the 1992 Best Picture nominees are as follows: JFK, Bugsy, Beauty and the Beast, The Prince of Tides, and The Silence of the Lambs. We're in for a treat, my friends. Until next time, because they're playing us off.
I have some more people to thank.
Too bad. Bye.
Bye.